Hi, everybody. My name's Elizabeth, and welcome back to the farm. I am sitting outside just kind of in the mouth of my garage because I'm doing a project and it's a little bit breezy outside. It's still the first part of early April. It's a little bit breezy outside. It's really overcast and a little bit chilly. So we've got a breezy wind, and then also I've got a little in my throat left over from some bronchitis I had earlier in the year. But while I'm doing this project, I thought we would talk and I would tell you a little bit about how I started the flower farm. So, the name of our farm is Mountain Prairie Flower Farm, and we live in northwest Montana as growing zone 4B. Excuse me, sorry. So, my husband and I moved here with our four kids about 20, I don't know, 20 something years ago. And all during the time that the kids were growing up here, and then also in other areas of the country where we had lived before we moved here, we had always had a big vegetable garden. So we have four kids. Three of them are boys and one daughter, and everybody's really big, really tall. My husband's 6'4". All of my boys are between 6'3" and 6'4", and my daughter is tall too. She's 5'8" or 5'9", and I'm not tiny. Anyway, um, so my point is, they're all big kids, and we always ate a lot, and so we always, once again, had a vegetable garden in all the places that we rented, all the places that we lived. We always had a vegetable garden to supplement our grocery bill. And so when we moved here, I automatically started growing vegetables. So we've got, like, I don't know, a fourth of an acre or so vegetable garden, and it was amazing. But the kids grew up like children do, and they've gone on to do their most wonderful adventures, college, and now all of them are off doing most amazing things. And when everybody decided to go to school, I still had this beautiful garden spot, but I didn't have a reason to grow millions of vegetables. Now, don't get me wrong, I like vegetables, kind of, but I didn't think I could eat fourth of an acre's worth of vegetables. And I didn't want it to go to waste because I've been working on the soil for years and years. It's really a great garden spot. And one day, when I was in town, a friend of mine had confided in me that she was really struggling with some personal issues. And um, the next day, when I saw her again, I brought her a handful of sunflowers that I had growing in the garden, because my um, kind of thing that I usually do was I would grow vegetables along with flowers, or flowers actually along with vegetables, to kind of help with the pollination. And plus, it looked really quaint and it's kind of sweet. So I brought her a handful of sunflowers, and oh my goodness, she burst into tears. And she just was talking about how good it made her feel, and how sweet that was, and how it just made her day. And so I started kind of reflecting on that, thinking, man, I don't think I have ever had anybody burst into tears and tell me what a great day they had because I had brought them a sack full of green beans or brought them an extra zucchini. So I almost immediately went home and, well, actually not immediately, but the next season, switched all my vegetable beds to flowers. And I've been growing flowers ever since. And that was when I was 58. So um, my kids have been gone. They've been kind of in and out, and they're always able to help me if I ask them to. But none of them live in town. None of the boys live in town, so they would have to make a special trip to come in to help me. And actually, what usually would happen is that when they were here for Mother's Day or vacation, or if they just came for a visit or some kind of a holiday, they would always volunteer to do something special around the farm. And I always had a little list going. My husband works out of town, so in the days that he's home, days and weeks and months that he's home, he helps. But basically, it was my idea. You know how that is. When it's your idea, you feel pretty much like you're the one who does the work. Doesn't always work that way, but it does in my house. And that's okay. It was my idea. Anyway, so I've been growing flowers ever since, and I'll have to tell you, it's been a struggle, because flower farming, doing any kind of farming in zone 4B, for us at least, what that means is that our last frost date is typically May 31st. Sometimes I can get away with putting out hardy flowers around the 15th of May, but it's kind of a crapshoot. The other thing is, our first frost date is often the first week of September. I can't tell you, I can't even think, I can't count how many times we had our first frost on Labor Day, that Labor Day weekend. Yeah, I know. So that literally gives me 90 days to farm, 90 for sure days to farm. Although that's not always for sure, because I've seen it snow every single month of the year. Now it doesn't do that every year, of course, but I've seen it snow in July and August here. So, and don't get me wrong, we didn't have 3 feet of snow. It was a dusting, but still, snow in August, really? So that does happen. My point being, the weather here is a challenge. That, and plus just the steep learning curve of growing flowers, totally different than veg, totally different. So anyway, but I have to say, I will never go back. I do grow vegetables for me and for whoever wants them, because not all of our kids have the ability to have a garden. So we do grow vegetables, not on the scale that we did before, of course, but we do grow veggies. But really, my heart is with the flowers. They are wonderful, and I think really one of the reasons why they're so wonderful is because of the way people react when they get the flowers. There's a lot of oohing and awing, and you can see it in people's eyes. They just feel appreciated and just happy. So that pretty much is amazing. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I started the flower farm at 58, and now here we are, how many ever years later, still growing flowers. We've expanded now to not just the fourth of an acre, but now we have a big U-pick. And so we've got all sorts of great events coming up this year. I think we're going to have a kind of a supper to what do they call that? Farm to table, but we're not growing vegetables. So flower farm to table, excuse me, farm to vase. I don't know what you call that. Anyway, some kind of a dinner event here on the farm this year. I'm really excited. None of the details have been worked out at all. So that might not happen this year, but I really want it to. That's part of my plan. And then, of course, this is our second year to do the U-pick, which was so wonderful. Last year was our first year, and oh my gosh, all I could think of was how weedy the fields were and how we weren't ready for company. But just like when company comes to your house, they don't see the dirt on the floor. They just see you, and they see all the greatness of your family and the greatness of you and your hospitality. And that's really kind of what it ended up to be. Oh, here comes the sun. That's really kind of what it ended up to be when we had our U-pick this year. It was last year. That people came, they came for the flowers. They didn't see the weeds. They didn't see the crooked rows. They didn't see the flowers that were a little bit eaten. Some of the flowers were a little bit eaten by bugs. You can't get away from it. Nobody saw that. Everybody, or the people that came, just seemed just enamored. And that's the way it is. You get out to flower fields and the flowers are blowing in the breeze and the sun is warm on your face and the birds are chirping in the background and there's no traffic noise. You don't really hear a lot of people sounds, and it's magical. So anyway, that's what we did last year, and I'm really hoping to continue that again this year. So yeah. So what am I doing right now? This is the second year I've done this. I've been in collaboration with one of our local nurseries to grow tulips for them. So what happened, what they did was they gave me the tulip bulbs that they wanted me to grow last fall. I stored them in cool storage all winter long. And then a couple of weeks ago, I brought them out of cool storage and put them in, I don't know if you can see these, in these big crates right here. Right here, see the crate? To start them growing and to start them. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, to start them growing and just to start them putting up leaves and stuff. And then what I do after that, since they're just in these big crates, is I split them up into everything's all everywhere. Ugh. I put them in these little plastic. I think these are 3x3s. These little plastic containers, and 3 bulbs in each container, and then take them into the nursery, and then they sell them. So I'm kind of like a remote worker. I work freelance contract remote work for one of the nurseries in town. It's a pretty good job. I love it actually, because it gives me a chance to still be home I get to make a little extra money. I get to help them out. And, of course, they help me out by paying me. Anyway, it's a good thing. So what else? Oh, let me just a tiny little bit about tulips and how this works. So as I said, all I did was store these tulip bulbs in cool storage for several months. I think I got the tulips in October, and I stored them until the very beginning of March. And then I pulled them out of storage in March and then put them in soil in these crates, just one right next to the other, all lined up in the crate. And now that and watered them, and it's been a little bit of an ordeal. It always is. Brought them out when it was nice and warm and it was sunshiny. Brought them all back into the garage when we had threats of freezing temperatures. Just back and forth until they started to sprout really strongly like this. And all of them are starting to bloom, give a little bloom here. And then I potted them up, like I said, in groups of 3. So the cool things about tulips is that they don't need fertilizer. Everything, not water, but everything that they need for as far as being able to grow and sustain itself is in the bulb. They do need water, of course, and they need sunlight and all that stuff, but they don't need fertilizer. And actually, you can grow these just in water. They don't, hydroponically, you don't even need soil if you want to get technical about it. I'm sure all of you guys have forced tulips in the house in just a little jar of water. I know there's a whole business on hydroponically growing tulips in the wintertime. I've participated in that too. I did that. This was my second year to grow tulips hydroponically. It was really good. We have a great group of customers who love their winter tulips. The learning curve is pretty steep. I'm still learning. I can't even begin to say that I'm an expert at all, but it was pretty fun. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. As you can see, I've got all these crates over here to do. None of them, so the ones that you can see green poking out of, those are all lilies. Those are all my lilies that I crated up to, same exact way. Soil in crates, put the bulbs in the soil and just let them sprout and grow there. Those will stay in the crates. I'm not going to plant those out in the flower fields or in my flower beds. Those are going to stay in crates, and they'll do great. They'll go on to blossom and bloom and grow great in crates. The tulips and daffodils you can't see, but there are crates and crates of those that haven't even sprouted yet, so they better get a move on. I have to say that that's kind of a little bit of an indication of what kind of a spring we've had. It's been pretty cool. It wasn't quite as cool as last year, but we haven't had very much sun at all. So between it being kind of chilly, not as chilly as last year, but kind of chilly, and not much sun, these have gotten kind of a late start. So we've had a couple of nice sunny days the last several days. Today's not a good example, but we have had some nice sunny days. So I'm hoping things will start to take off. So, okay, I guess that's it. I got way more to talk about. Talk about being a flight nurse for 10 years, talk about meeting my husband, talk about our kids, all those things. I don't know if any of that's interesting to you guys. Just let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any questions about tulips, let me know in the comments. I'm not an expert by any means, especially the hydroponic side of it, but I have been growing tulips every year for about 7 years, 6 or 7 years. So I know a lot about ingrown tulips that you plant in the fall and you dig up, or you cut them in the spring so that you can sell them as cut flowers. And like I said, this is my 7th year to be a cut flower farmer. So I do in zone 4B. So I do have some experience there. So if any of y'all have any questions, just feel free to put them in the comments. And yeah, that's at least part of my story. I think this is going to be a great community, and I'm just so glad everybody's here. Okay, bye. We'll see you in the next video.